Welcome to Solana. My name is Seb Monty, and I've been on Solana since it was under $2. Back then, nothing was very fun, and now there's a huge amount of fun here. So if you're on EVMs, or if you're on Sui or Aptos, then welcome. I'll show you what is kind of similar, and you can use this guide to help yourself onboard. If you are a big ETH bull, fantastic, completely all good. I've got ETH myself, and I played on there many years before Solana became a thing. But this is where I think a lot of attention needs to go, and you're probably interested to come here. So you don't have to just marry your ETH bags like I've married my Sol bags. You can marry both. So starting off, of course, Trump, it launched over here. It's brought in a whole lot of liquidity and a whole lot of interest. Whether you like it or love it or hate it or it's kind of neutral, it doesn't really matter. The point is, this is a blockchain that is worth putting some attention on. So to start with, you're going to need a wallet. If all you want to do is really simple stuff, buy a token, sell a token, buy a token, sell a token, you can go with Jupe Mobile. It's only available on mobile phones. And if you have a normie friend, you can actually invite them and actually send them a little bit of Sol. My preferred wallet is Solflare Wallet. Solflare Wallet's available on your mobile phone, or it's available as an extension for Chrome. It only supports Solana. So kind of like MetaMask only supports EVMs. This only supports Solana. You can also use Backpack. Backpack is also available on your mobile phone and also as an extension. It supports EVMs as well, as does Phantom as well. My personal preference is a Solana wallet like Solflare that only does one thing is better. That way you're using your MetaMask for everything that you're familiar with, and then you use a Solflare wallet for everything you're familiar with. And if you're on Sui, you use a Sui wallet for everything that you're familiar with. The number one website you want to use is jupe.ag. This is similar to 1inch, or maybe even CalSwap does a little bit of aggregation. Essentially, you can on-ramp here, or if you're coming from EVM land, you can use a bridge like dBridge. You can also use Portal Bridge from Wormhole, but dBridge is easier, and you can use the UI at Jupe. And this is where you go and you just go and trade whatever it is you want to do, USDC into Sol or whatever. Also, if you go to welcome.jupe.ag, you've got a whole welcome guide there as well. I used to be part of the Jupiter Uplink team. Very, very bullish on them. Just didn't have the bandwidth to do everything that I'm doing and that as well. So you can come here, you'll see my face, a couple of videos on that channel, but basically you start with a wallet, then you come on down further, and then right down the bottom, if you click on Explore Solana Apps, you can see a whole bunch of apps that may be of interest to you. Of course, if you're getting into DeFi, you always want to use DeFi Llama to find out where is the TVL. TVL right now on Solana is nice and decent at over 12 billion, not as much as Ethereum, but it's still very, very decent. Ignore this part back here. In 2021, when it looked like everything was going crazy, this was actually double and triple counted by some very creative devs that are no longer actually in the space. It dipped hard. We all know this. SBF, FTX rugged hard, but we've been rebuilding and doing well. Now, if we're having a look at the protocols, we've got Jito is similar to Lido, I guess would be your equivalent thing. Radium is like Uniswap. It's a DEX. Jupiter is like 1inch, but does a whole lot more than that. Camino's a little bit more similar to something like Aave, but it does more than that as well. Marinade is in the same category as Jito, like Lido. And Sanctum is in the same category as Lido. Meteora is kind of like Uniswap, but on steroids. And Drift is Perpstex. We'll cover that a little bit later on. I'll start with Kamino, Kamino.finance. Very, very bullish on Kamino. Been using it since 2022 when it was like $10 million of TVL. If you connect your wallet, which is, nice and simple to do, Solflare, connect away, auto connect if you like. You are accumulating points every time you use this, which does actually get you some Kamino tokens. You'll get the Kamino tokens at the end of season 3. And if we have a look at governance and staking, I don't actually have any staked here, but you can go and stake them, and then that gives you more points. You can unstake them, you can sell them. It's a governance token. Governance isn't completely worked out with this as yet. The main thing that I use this for is just borrow and lending. Like I go and deposit, say, in the main market as a preference, Sol, and borrow USDC and just live off USDC, or I go and deposit Jito Sol and do the same thing. You can do whatever you want over here, of course. CBBTC is Coinbase BTC, a little bit more centralized, of course. And as you can see, you get nice little bonuses. This is similar to what Aave had back on Polygon and AVAX in 2021, 2022. Other really cool things, and by the way, I have got more in-depth tutorials on pretty much everything that I talk about. You can go and do liquidity providing via Kamino, so they move the position around for you. Get some pretty decent yields for stablecoins. Not my preferred thing to do, but I'm pretty bullish on it. In general, I will do it if it has the Meteora logo, because that way we're getting Met points. Orca and Radium, they already have a token out since the previous cycle, so not as bullish on them at all. We've got Multiply. Multiply is a pretty cool way to level up your exposure on something, such as JLP, which is like a really cool token. More on that a little bit later. Or some LSTs as well. I don't tend to do this other than JLP, but you're welcome to do it. I've got tutorials on it. Long and short, this is a pretty cool thing because, as you know, if you're doing perp trading for a longer term horizon, you end up paying, if you're longing, a pretty decent APY. Like you can pay 100% or something quite sizable over the course of a year. Whereas when you're doing it in this system, you're paying like 10 to 20% depending on the USDC borrow rate. And then of course, you've got your portfolio button here where you can see what is happening with everything. Another dApp that does borrow and lending like Aave is MarginFi. They initially had more TVL than Camino, then Camino just overtook them. They've had a little bit of issue with, in my opinion, and just nothing's financial advice, and I may not be spot on with everything that I say, but trying to create a token, maybe with, a few months, they can create a token, but their lawyers advised against it, and TVL kind of left their platform. However, you can farm their points, and if you do so, you can't see your points, but my assumption would be that you're accumulating points in the background. Now, if you like bots and things like that, BonkBot could be for you. Put into Telegram, fund it, and then just trade back and forward with different tokens, nice and fast. I don't use this that much, but it is a viable option. And before we go any further, I do have this video. It's massive. It's 55 minutes long. You can watch it if you like. I do suggest it. It has hundreds of hours of effort into this one video. It basically gives my thesis on why I believe Sol could go to $1,000 or more. And this was put out a month ago, but I have another video from 2023 on my thesis for $1,000 Sol. It's not just a pie in the sky kind of dream. This has been very, very well researched. To actually spend your USDC, I like to use Cast Card, so cast.finance. I have a referral, just Seb Monty. Very, very bullish on this as well. It's another points program. You spend money, you get points that will equate to some sort of token in the future. I think this will be able to not completely take on someone like Revolut, but it'll be able to take on Revolut in certain aspects. And it's far better than all the other cards that I am used to, crypto.com, etc. Now, to stake your Sol, you want to stake it with Validator.com. Why? Well, I'm the general manager of Validator.com, so you'll be supporting me, but also you'll be able to get some decent rewards with your staking. It's very, very easy to do on Solana, and you also get MEV. And MEV right now per year is like 2%. It's very, very hot. More on that a little bit later. All you have to remember is just Validator.com, the best brand right there. In the LST market, liquid staking tokens, you, of course, if you're from ETH, you've got Lido ETH and multiple other ones, but Lido ETH being the biggest. The biggest over here is Jito Sol, and Jito Labs is the most goated team potentially on Solana. Between them and Jupiter, who really, really, really knows? Either way, without Jito, we wouldn't have this crazy amount of activity because they created the MEV client. So you can hold Jito Sol if you wish to, and you can go and claim your MEV when you're staking with Validator.com. Got a video, it will be linked above and below. But if you come on down, right down to the bottom, you just click on Harvest MEV Rewards. You connect your wallet like so, Solflare, connect, it will fetch the accounts, and then you claim the MEV. MEV is separate from staking rewards. You have to claim this yourself. Another place for LSTs is Sanctum. Sanctum is very, very cool, very clean branding, huge amount of TVL, and there's a whole lot of different tokens out there. There's no Validator.com LST yet, but one is being worked on. You can see they've got Bybit Sol, Binance Sol, Bonk Sol, Jupe Sol, as an example. Now, in terms of liquidity providing, my biggest suggestion is Meteora. You can go an LP at Radium and Orca, but my preference is Meteora. Meteora, in my opinion, is your chance to go with $10K to $1 million or $100K to even more, especially if you're good at range trading, narratives, not being too greedy. If you've got a good strategy, this is where you want to be. The thing in particular is DLMMs, Dynamic Liquidity Market Making. I've got a massive tutorial on this. It's kind of needed that you watch the whole thing, to be perfectly honest. I've actually got two. They'll be linked above and below as well. But to give you some sort of idea, Prosper is one of the best at doing this. And she just did with Trump token, a DLMM from $160,000 to $1 million. And there's a whole bunch of community tools where you can see how much your impermanent loss, your divergence losses, and your actual total USD profit. This is her wallet here, but she's made a whole lot more than this. I guess she's just moved the funds out. For NFTs, there's multiple marketplaces. You've got Magic Eden, Soul Sniper, and Tensor.trade. Tensor.trade, I think, is probably the best. So if you think NFTs are coming back, check it out. This is where you want to go. Another really cool thing is they have compressed NFTs. So these are NFTs on the blockchain that basically cost nothing to actually mint. And this is called Drip. This is where you can go and just be a collector. Drip.house, you go and sign up, you claim some droplets, you buy some droplets if you want for a minimal amount of USDC, and you support creators and you build a collection. If you end up falling in love with Solana, then airdropped.link, beautiful domain name there. This will allow you to check multiple wallet addresses and work out which one has an existing airdrop to actually go and claim. Now, the equivalent to checking your portfolio, like you've got DBank and others, Zerion as an example, is Sonar.watch. Sonar.watch is probably my preferred one. However, there's also a couple others, which I'll show you in a second. So you just put in any wallet address you like. You don't even have to connect. There isn't actually anything to connect. And then it'll show you all your different positions, what you're using. As an example, Hawksite, Native Stake here, Dupe Exchange, Lulo, etc., etc. You can also use Step.finance, but you can see this net worth is slightly off. It's not being able to track every position that I'm actually in. Another pretty cool thing is using Asset Dash. This is a mobile thing that you have on your mobile phone, and it also has a whale watch, and that tracks what meme coin whales are buying. So you can see someone that goes from maybe AI16Z, they go and sell 200K worth of that, and they go and buy Trump or something, and those people tend to have a little bit of alpha or a bit of a strategy that you may want to copy. For news, you've got CoinDesk in the EVM world and plenty of them like that, but Solana Floor is probably where you want to get a little bit of your alpha. They only cover Solana. And in terms of joining NFT communities, there's so many out there. You can decide whatever you want, but I'm a big fan of the Barrows. It's a smaller collection, just a couple of hundred people, but I'm a big fan of the Barrows, and Topo I'm a big fan of. If you have got a whole lot of money and you want access to like angel rounds and stuff, you maybe want to go and grab a Boogle like he's got. I don't have one. They sell for around 1,200 Sol. Also, if you get good at DLMMing and if you make content that kind of helps Meteora grow, then Goosestyle, that's where you want to be. It's an invite-only DLMM club, but they're the best DLMMers and they are very good at teaching others as well. If not, just start with a Meteora Discord, find some groups, find some friends, and go from there. Now, meme coins. So Vector.fun, this is created by Tensor. You may want to get amongst this. This is also on your mobile phone. Jupiter has created Ape.pro. This is where a whole lot of tokens are actually launched. A lot of these tokens are launched from Pump.fun, Moonshot from Deck Screener, and whatnot. But I'm not going to cover those because most of those are like rugs, of course. So if you want to dive into meme coin trading, all the best. Most of them will go to zero. Now, when you find different projects and you want to see how many holders do they have, what's the distribution like, all that sort of stuff, then gmgn.ai. This is where the party's at. You just go and find a token. You've got Trump here, of course, but everyone's already all over that. Let's have a look at Baron. This is obviously going to be a little bit of a cheeky one. It's just someone just, just bot manipulation, whatever. You can go and add all of your indicators, like I like RSI and MACD and whatnot. You can see the snipers if they're still in the position. These are the people that managed to get the transaction in the first kind of minutes, and a whole bunch of other things, but separate tutorials needed for this. You can also connect a wallet and you can trade in here as well. As for the favorite meme coins over here, well, that's of course for you to decide. You're probably in love with Shiba or maybe Pepe, or there might be a couple others, but Bonk is the most popular one over here, other than Trump, which is, newly released. Bonk essentially saved Solana, in my opinion. In the depths of the bear market 2022, when Sol went down to $8, SBF and FTX just absolutely destroyed Solana and crypto at large, Bonk came out and just airdropped half the supply to Solana users. From there, it's just been engaging and engaging and engaging, and I personally do respect the dog. Another one that you may be keen on though, because some of you may even have a Pudgy Penguin or a Little Penguin, is actually Pingu. Big fan of what Luca Nets is building, and I'm pretty bullish on Pingu. You can buy that over here as well. You're probably aware of this already because this is multi-chain, but Deck Screener is something that I use quite often as well to find different pairs or different liquidity opportunities. This also has Moonshot, where if you do want to ape into new tokens that have just been created. If you're really bullish on the actual tech and future of governance and future of crypto, then fantastic, you're one of the few, but you're like me and I respect that. Check out metadao.fi. This is legitimately probably the future of governance. Markets decide everything, and this is what they're building. They've already actually built it, and now it's just getting adoption. I'm very, very bullish on this. They do have a token out. You can look into that yourself, though. If you've got time for some fitness, fantastic, then get amongst Moonwalk. This is a way to put in some money. As long as you keep on walking, doing your steps, you get it all back and then some. However, if you don't, then you start to lose for every day that you're not doing your steps. Also, if you're bullish on productivity, then maybe check out this. I've pre-ordered one, got a referral as well, but Pulse, this is like a fitness wearable. They're shipping in March 2025. This is not a shill. I don't shill anything other than, of course, just staking your soul. But I think this will actually help in the long run. And ultimately, your data is very important. This is a crypto point, and you'll have the ability to sell your health data in the future. I think right here is probably a multi-billion-dollar product. If you want to make content, or if you want to go and get content commissioned, you can use earn.superteam.fun. This is a pretty cool thing for sure. I don't really know if there's an equivalent thing on Ethereum, to be perfectly honest, but it's certainly worth checking out. I've used it myself, also used it to find interns in the past as well. If you're wondering if there's an equivalent of Gitcoin on Solana, there's nothing that's really working really well as of yet. So I wouldn't say that Superteam is kind of the equivalent, but it's probably one of the better things, and Superteam is the best place to connect to other like-minded builders. If you are a builder yourself and you don't know really where to get resources, then you just ping a comment below, and if I get enough people asking, I'll make a separate video on that. But in the meantime, so that you've got something to look into, just look into Mountain DAO. Try and get yourself to Mountain DAO. Happens a couple of times every year. The next one is in February. Now, if you like to trade on-chain, you might be in the very centralized environment, but potentially very lucrative environment of Hyperliquid. However, if not, then you can go to flash.trade. They've got different pairs here. You can actually provide liquidity. It's a perps deck, so you can actually earn by providing liquidity. And then as long as traders actually lose more often, then you'll make decent returns. But if they start winning a lot more, then of course that liquidity will reduce. You can also go to dupe.ag and just click on perps. The thing with dupe.ag is they have the vast majority of all of the perps activity, but they've only got 3 pairs, Sol, ETH, and WBTC. If you click on earn, this takes us to JLP pool. JLP is a token that I mentioned before, and this is a liquidity providing token that gets 75% of all of the fees from the perps DEX. And that's why it's been just up only basically ever since it was created. You can see there's $1.8 billion of TVL. You got Sol, ETH, Wrap BTC, some USDC and USDT, all within this kind of ETF of a token. Another cool option is drift.trade. Drift.trade, you can earn fuel. As you earn fuel, I believe in May 2025, that fuel will actually convert in some fashion to their token that's already existing, which is Drift. There's also a new kid on the block, which is Adrena. And Adrena is really, really cool because they actually use Jito Sol as their kind of underlying liquidity. That way it's going up by about 9.8% APY, as opposed to Sol, which, unless it's staked, is not actually accumulating any rewards. And they've got a couple of different pairs that you may be interested in. Sol, Bonk, if you want to long the dog, and BTC. These work in a particular fashion where there needs to be a certain amount of liquidity for you to open up a trade, similar to dupe.ag and flash.trade. Whereas Drift is done a little bit differently. It's done via an order book system, and they've got liquidity vaults, which essentially hedge, put a short position on so that there's enough room for people to go and long themselves. Now, the wallet I've connected is a tutorial wallet, but I've got a little bit of PayPal USD over here, and this is using Lulo. Lulo is probably one of the coolest apps. If you just want to kind of set it and forget it with your stablecoins, you can put it in here and it will route to wherever the best place is for a return. Kamino, Drift, MarginFi. There's another network called Solent, which is now rebranded to Save. Haven't really covered that because you're welcome to use it, but it doesn't have as much upside as Kamino or MarginFi due to the fact that they had a token which was launched in 2021. If you want to create a token, we can cover that in another tutorial. But if you want to lock some of that token up, or if you just want to see if tokens are locked up, lock.dupe.ag. You can lock or you can see tokens that are locked by using this platform. Or you can also use Streamflow. Streamflow, they take a fee, but it's got a nice UI. They've recently done a token launch as well, and you may want to check this out. Before we end this overview, we'll quickly go to dupe.ag. I've connected my wallet, and I'm just going to go and buy a little bit of Sol. Pretty simple. It adjusts all the slippage for you, and you swap. And then as long as you see a simulation, you should be pretty good to go in whatever your wallet is. So this looks like it's going to go through. We'll approve it, and we'll see if this transaction actually goes through. We can see down here, the transaction was confirmed. But quite often, especially if there's a whole lot of people actually using the network, you may need to increase the gas fees. Gas fees are definitely different compared to your EVMs. And how it basically works is you need to tip the validator. You need to tip the validator in some way, or you need to tip Jito in order to get into a block. So if you're coming across with a little bit of size, you may want to change your fee. Most of the time, it's going to cost like a couple of cents or less. But if you actually want it to get through like I do, I normally set my fee quite a bit higher. If we click on auto and keep it like this, we'll do another swap. We'll see what that actually cost us by clicking on view transaction. Now, if we have a look at solscan.io, this is our hash or our transaction ID or our signature. This here will show us exactly what happened. We won't go over it too much, but down here we can see the fee. So the total fee is what we paid, is 60 cents, and most of that was a priority fee to basically get that transaction approved. It shouldn't be that much normally, and we could probably get it to go through by having it lower. We may just have to go to like manual, quite a bit lower, like 27 cents. We can try to go lower and just pay like 5 cents, but ultimately, most of the time, you just want your transaction to go through, approve. Now, of course, Solana, as I covered in the massive 55-minute video that gives my whole thesis on why the price will go up and up and up, it will, of course, scale. And when it scales, it'll get more and more affordable. But right now, it has a huge number of actual transactions that go through, and it does cost a little bit to get that transaction through. Personally, I just don't care about saving a couple of cents. I just prefer that my transaction gets through nice and fast. That's all for this tutorial. Remember to stake your Sol with validator.com. It's very, very easy. You just jump into your wallet up the top, then click stake, type in the amount that you're keen on, search for validator.com, and then just go and stake just like that. Confirm, and then it starts to earn around about 9.5% APY when you factor in the MEV rewards. It's nothing like Ethereum. If you want to unstake, it takes 1 epoch. An epoch is 2.5 days. So it could take from minutes to 2.5 days, depending on when the end of the epoch is. And I also have another video on how you can convert it to Jito Sol rapidly if you want that liquidity immediately. Thanks for watching. Enjoy Solana. Whoa.